tremor, subtle at first, like the flicker of a distant memory, snaked through the bedrock of existence. Deep within the inky bowels of Tartarus, a realm where even gods feared to tread, a monstrous entity stirred. Typhon, a being born from the primordial fury of Gaia, the Earth Mother, and the abyssal depths of Tartarus, awakened with a hunger that gnawed at the very fabric of reality. He rose from the eternal darkness, a colossal nightmare given grotesque form. Imagine a colossus sculpted from the granite of forgotten mountains, his chest a Titan's shield, broad enough to house entire storms. Yet, from the waist down, his form twisted into a writhing mass of vipers, their venomous scales shimmering with an otherworldly, sickly green luminescence. Leathery wings, vast and dark as thunderclouds pregnant with a coming tempest, unfurled behind him, blotting out the sun and casting a chilling shadow upon the idyllic realm of Mount Olympus. Fire, the very essence of destruction, danced in his obsidian eyes and roared from his nostrils, each exhalation a searing wind that scorched the very air. A bellow erupted from his throat, a sound that ripped through the silence of the underworld, a primordial scream that echoed across the land of Greece. It pulsed with a chilling power, shaking the foundations of the world, rattling the celestial halls of Olympus. The playful nymphs and boisterous satyrs, forever basking in the carefree revelry of the gods, fell unnervingly still. A cold dread, a primal fear that slumbered deep within even the most carefree Olympian, began to stir. Zeus, the king of gods, felt the tremor course through his celestial throne. He turned his gaze towards the eastern horizon, where a monstrous shadow, vast and ever-growing, began to darken the sky. It was a blemish upon the pristine canvas of the heavens, a harbinger of chaos to come. Typhon, the monstrous challenger, had arrived. He moved with a terrible grace, his serpentine lower body propelling him forward with surprising swiftness. Blazing rocks, ripped from the very heart of the earth with unimaginable strength, were launched towards Olympus. The air crackled with the intensity of his fiery breath, a searing wind that scorched the land and withered the once vibrant flora, leaving behind a wasteland of blackened ash and petrified trees. Panic, a primal and unwelcome guest, seized the lesser gods. Poseidon, the earth shaker, who reveled in the power of the ocean and the tremor of earthquakes, paled at the sight of Typhon's fiery wrath. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, her beauty usually a source of comfort and desire, cowered, her porcelain skin ashen. In a desperate bid for survival, they transformed themselves into various animals, their once proud forms reduced to those of timid birds that scurried for cover or burrowing moles seeking refuge in the cool embrace of the earth. Only Zeus, the mighty thunderer, stood his ground. His eyes, usually filled with a playful glint, now burned with a righteous fury that mirrored the inferno raging within Typhon. He would not abandon his celestial home, his domain, to the whims of this monstrous upstart. He wouldn't let the idyllic life he'd nurtured for mortals be consumed by this harbinger of chaos. The clash that followed was a spectacle that would forever scar the memory of the world. The very fabric of reality seemed to groan under the immense pressure of their battle. The once pristine slopes of Mount Olympus, a haven for gods and a symbol of order, became a battleground scorched by celestial fury. Mountains crumbled as if made of sand, rivers boiled and evaporated, and the sky itself seemed to split open, revealing the churning chaos that lay beyond the veil of reality. For a time, victory seemed to teeter on the precipice. Typhon, with his monstrous strength and earth-shaking roars, challenged even the mighty Zeus. The very foundations of Olympus trembled with each blow. The monstrous serpents that formed his lower half lashed out, their venomous fangs dripping with a vile poison that could melt even the sturdiest Olympian armor. Yet, Zeus, fueled by the unyielding spirit of Olympus, the responsibility of protecting his people, and a rage that burned hotter than Typhon's fire, refused to yield. In a final, earth-shattering display of power that shook the very heavens, he wrestled Mount Etna, the colossal volcano that slumbered near the battlefield. With a thunderous roar that echoed across the cosmos, a sound that made even the most battle-hardened gods flinch, he slammed it down upon Typhon, burying the monstrous beast beneath its fiery weight. Silence, thick and heavy as a shroud, descended upon the battlefield. The surviving Olympians, their bodies battered and bruised, their celestial armor scorched and cracked, emerged from their hiding places. A plume of smoke and ash, thick and black as night, rose from the smouldering form of Mount Etna, a constant reminder of the ferocious battle that had transpired. The stench of sulfur and burnt earth hung heavy in the air, a sickly perfume that clung to the very fabric of existence. Cracks snaked across the once pristine ground, glowing with an infernal light that emanated from the monstrous entity imprisoned beneath. Even with Typhon seemingly subdued, a sense of unease lingered. The Olympians, shaken to their core by the sheer power of the monstrous entity, looked upon their once immaculate home with newfound vulnerability. The playful nymphs and boisterous satyrs, their carefree innocence forever shattered, emerged from their hiding places, their eyes wide with a newfound terror. The once vibrant floor of Olympus struggled to reclaim its footing, choked by the ash and singed by the lingering heat. Days bled into weeks, then months. The plume of smoke from Mount Etna continued to spew forth, a constant reminder of the monstrous threat that lay dormant beneath. Whispers began to spread amongst the lesser gods, carried on the wind like malevolent seeds. Doubts gnawed at their minds. Was Typhon truly vanquished? Or was this merely a temporary respite, a lull before the storm? One night, under the cloak of a moonless sky, a tremor, far subtler than the one that heralded Typhon's arrival, shook the foundations of Olympus. A ripple of unease spread through the celestial halls. The fear that had been simmering just beneath the surface boiled over. Was it merely an aftershock, a settling of the earth after the epic battle? Or was it a sign? As if in answer, a low rumble emanated from the direction of Mount Etna. It was a sound that sent shivers down the spines of even the most courageous gods. The plume of smoke above the volcano began to churn, swirling with an unnatural violence. Lightning, crimson and malevolent, danced across the churning mass of ash. Then, a monstrous roar, unlike anything ever heard before, tore through the night. It was a sound that spoke of primal rage, of a power that defied definition. The ground beneath Olympus shuddered violently. Cracks widened, spewing forth molten rock. Panic erupted amongst the lesser gods. Even Zeus, his face etched with a grim determination, felt a flicker of doubt. From the depths of Mount Etna, a colossal form began to rise. It was Typhon, his serpentine lower body writhing in fury, his eyes burning with a renewed hatred. The mountain, once a prison, now served as a grotesque crown, its fiery peak lodged between his monstrous shoulders. He had broken free, fueled by an even greater rage, and his sights were set on a final, devastating assault on Olympus. The battle that ensued was a symphony of destruction. The very foundations of reality threatened to crumble. As Zeus and Typhon clashed once more, the fate of the world hung in the balance. Would the reign of the gods be brought to a fiery end? Or would Zeus, the king of the heavens, find a way to vanquish the monstrous entity once and for all? The answer, shrouded in the smoke and ash of a world teetering on the brink, remained to be seen.